Are we ready to explode the funnel? Yes. Hey, so much excitement there. I love it. We might not have time for Q&A, so please do pop your questions on Slido. And if we don't manage to get to them, then we do have Awin here, just in the corner over there. You can follow up with any questions if we don't get any of them through. OK, we're going to take a look at how partners are providing value for far beyond the last click, and why the acceleration of partner diversification is a good thing for our industry. Please can you welcome to the stage Chief Customer Officer at Awin, David Lloyd.
Tina, and thanks for the muted whoops from a couple of members of Awin over there. Really appreciate you joining me this afternoon. My name is David Lloyd. I'm the Chief Customer Officer of Awin. If you don't know Awin already, I'm contractually obliged to tell you that as of last night, the GPMAs, we are the world's best affiliate network. Small whoop, thank you. Tiny whoop, but we're very, very grateful to all our partners and customers for helping make us the world's best affiliate network. And I promise I'm not going to have a huge amount of audience interaction, but I wanted to ask one question before I begin, which is, who is at their first ever PI Live today? Raise your hands. So quite a few of you. Quite a few of you. So quite a few of you like me. So this is good, I feel, among friends. The reason I ask is because it's my first PI Live, and the reason for that is that I joined Awin this year. I joined in January of this year. I joined the affiliate industry for the first time this year. And before that, I spent about 5 years working for Alibaba. Before that, and I don't know if this is seen as a positive thing or a negative thing, I spent about 10 years working at Google. And so I've been in digital marketing and in e-commerce for a really long time, but never really in affiliates. And when I was preparing this talk, that was what I really wanted to talk about, was the fact that I had preconceptions and I think misconceptions about affiliates. And I wanted to talk a bit about what I used to think about affiliates, what I would say I know about affiliates today, and why I think it's really the most exciting and diverse and valuable part of the digital marketing industry. So first, I just want to talk. I didn't realize that you just could see me behind me all the way through there. First, I want to talk a bit about what I used to think. And why I used to think it. And I think what I would used to have said about affiliates was that it was relatively low in the funnel, it was high value, it was last click. And I think the reason I used to think that was that if you go back, and this is a pretty old piece of information, but if you go all the way back to the 2008 financial crisis and what happened to consumer behavior then, what happened was that shoppers became bargain hunters. Right, as consumer confidence dropped, as we had less disposable income, what you can see on the gray bars here is that 63% of people became bargain hunters. If they didn't become bargain hunters, they started to trade down, they started to cut back, and if they didn't do any of those things, and they continued to buy quality, then they did a lot more research. A lot more research. So basically, in general, people were shopping a bit less, shopping for cheaper items, cheaper brands, and researching more. And if you look at the orange bars show you how embedded that behavior became. So 84% of those people who became bargain hunters stayed bargain hunters. And what happened is that behavior translated across into the affiliate industry. And so what you can see here is Awin data going back 21 years. So it's kind of a lot of data on the chart. Over here we have 2001. Over on the right-hand side you have 2022. And what we're showing you is the incentive partners' shares, incentive partners' share of total sales on the Awin network. And by incentive partners, I mean cashback, voucher codes, and loyalty. And so what you could see is that when the industry started out, actually incentive partners were a really relatively small amount of affiliates. But as you got through to the financial crisis, they jumped up enormously, became up to nearly 50% of the affiliate industry, and that grew and grew and grew up to 2018. And in 2018, this is where I would say my old perception of the industry came from. 2018, 70% of sales on our network were from incentive partners. So super valuable, driving great value for customers, great value for brands. but it made it feel like it was an incentive-based industry, and that stayed the same through 2018-19. And then something changed. Something changed when the pandemic came along, and you can see on the right here 2021 and 2022. And the incentive partners, even as their business grew, even as cashback, loyalty, vouchers became more and more important, they became less of a share of our network, right? Less of a share of our network. And actually, content partners achieved a 10-year high in 2022. So this year, content partners are at a 10-year high in terms of their share of sales in our network. And what happened basically was this, was the lockdown, was COVID. And during COVID, we saw a few things. We saw Amazon cut their commissions, so more affiliates came back to networks like Awin and our competitors. We saw more people trying to find new ways to make money, becoming affiliates for the first time. And so we had a huge jump up in the number of publishers joining our network every month. And we saw an increased diversity as well, an increased diversity in the types of affiliates. So they weren't only those very valuable incentive partners, but they were also content sites, tech partners, influencers. And influencers are becoming an increasingly important part of the business. And what that is leading to today is this. And this is why the talk is called Exploding the Funnel, because basically when you have so many different types of affiliates, so many different types of partners, influencing consumers, touching consumers on their journey through to purchase and beyond, that idea of a funnel, that idea of a linear journey of awareness, interest, desire, action, isn't really relevant anymore. Our journeys are way more complex. We go backwards and forwards. We consume different types of content. We look for reviews. We think we're about to buy, and then we pause and we don't. And so within Awin, we're thinking, if the funnel doesn't work, what kind of model does work? And the model that we've alighted on, and the model that we feel really represents where we are today, is this one. So Scott Galloway, looking sort of semi-grumpy, semi-pleased with himself. Everybody's favorite tech podcaster proposes this model, which is the clock model. And the clock model says that if you can break up the customer journey in, say, 12-hour segments, roughly from 12 till 4 is the pre-purchase period. This is when you're being introduced to a brand, being introduced to a product, starting to think about whether you want to buy. From 4 to 8 is the purchase period, where you're really in that mode where you're about to buy. And then from 8 back to 12 is that post-purchase period, where you can build loyalty, you can upsell a customer, you can retain a customer and make them a customer not just for a day, but for life. And the reason we like this model as well is because it repeats. Because it's not just a linear journey, because somebody doesn't just shop once. They come back and back and back. They experience your competitors. They have many, many different ways to experience your brand. And when I used to think about affiliates, and when I used to think about this industry, if I'm really, really honest, I felt that affiliates was basically at 4 o'clock, maybe 3 o'clock, maybe 3:30, but basically didn't really step outside that quite narrow period on the clock pre-purchase when I was just about to buy, and I might need something to help me make that decision to buy. But the more I've learned this year, and the more I've thought about our industry, the more I've met customers and met partners, the more I've thought that affiliates actually have a role to play in every single hour of the clock. Every single moment of the consumer journey, from the very, very first engagement with a brand, right through to becoming a loyal customer, actually is represented within the affiliate industry. And I think this is a story we need to tell better. This is something we need to explain to people. I was at a presentation from Kevin Edwards and a few other people earlier today, and they were talking about why is it hard for me to gain investment in affiliates? And two of the three reasons they gave. One was a lack of partners, a lack of a diverse number of partners. And I think that is not a real reason. I think we have the diversity. We have hundreds of thousands of partners doing so many different things, but we don't do a good enough job of presenting those partners to advertisers. So I think we can explode that myth. The other thing was that affiliates was not very well understood in people's businesses. And that was always my experience as well. Right? Even when I was at Alibaba in my previous job and I knew the team were doing affiliate marketing, it wasn't something I got very close to. It's not something I really felt I understood very well. I really just thought about it as very valuable, really great ROI, really great ROAS, but basically incentive-based advertising. I thought I could just kind of leave them to it. But what I want to talk to you about today is how that perception has changed for me and how I think we have such a diverse array of partners. We have so much value within affiliates that I think it's entirely possible for us to say that we play a role in every single hour on the clock. And because we've alighted an Awin on this vision of the clock, and because I think it's a good metaphor for a consumer journey, when I was preparing the presentation, I decided to see if I could really squeeze all of the life out of this metaphor, and I'm going to try and give you 12 minutes on the 12 hours of the clock. So I'm going to try and show you that we have every single hour covered, and we've got an example for every hour. And before I do that, I just want to say one thing. One way in which we demonstrate that richness of those partners is this. It's the Awin report. Last question I'll ask you, who's seen the Awin report? Some people at Awin haven't got their hands up. You should all have seen the Awin report if you're an Awin. If you're not an Awin and you haven't seen it, I'd really recommend Google the Awin Power 100. It's an amazing report. We work with hundreds of thousands of partners, but what we've done is to condense those down to select 100 of the most innovative companies we work with, to showcase them and to show people just how diverse, just how valuable the affiliate industry is. So please have a look for this and go through. But without further ado, I'm going to try and take you through 12 hours of the clock as quickly as I can. So, 1 o'clock, right at the start of the consumer journey, where you're starting to try and build awareness. You're trying to speak to people who have never met your brand before. Feel Unique, great brand we work with. They wanted to experiment with TikTok. They knew there was a young audience, a highly engaged audience on TikTok. They wanted to speak to those guys. They came and spoke to us. We worked with them. We worked with Sellers Alley. We created a partnership with Sellers Alley, Feel Unique, and TikTok. It was about 15,000 euros worth of spend, so not a huge investment. And what happened? Well, they got 15,000 plus sessions. 84% of the users who engaged with their brand were new to the brand. 84% new users. There was a nearly 50% increase in Google searches for them. Right? So people for the first time experiencing the brand saying, actually, I want to find out more about Feel Unique. And Beauty Box, which was the focus of the campaign, drove 75% more impressions. These are not the statistics. These are not the metrics that I would have traditionally associated with Awin or with affiliates when I first started working with the company. We're driving brand metrics. Now, of course, this is about TikTok being a phenomenal platform, but it's also about having the measurability, about having the ability to track that activity and to say we can do brand activity and we can track it like performance. So 1 o'clock, huge uplift in brand metrics for Feel Unique. We go to 2 p.m. Tomahawk Shades, American brand, not a company I'd ever heard of, right, before now. They're based in Long Island. They sell great sunglasses. And they'd always wanted to be on leading content sites. They wanted to see their brand in GQ. They wanted to see their brand in Insider. They weren't entirely sure how to go about it, but they knew that if they could get their brand into those places, they could move into a different consideration set. They could be compared alongside some of the more famous sunglass brands, some of the more famous luxury brands. So what did they do? They worked with Today's Business. It's an award-winning partnership, managed to get their brand into GQ, Men's Health, Insider, many more titles besides. And what happened? 31% increase in AOV, 12% growth in their total e-commerce sales, an ROI of $8.60. That's actually a lower ROI than most of us would be used to working in affiliates, right? I think generally speaking, we might look for a $15 plus ROI when we invested a dollar. So do we think this is a bad or a good activity? For me, it's a phenomenal activity because this is branding. Right? This is building your brand, raising awareness of a company that has not been heard of before, with the consumers they're trying to touch, reaching more valuable consumers in the places where they want to be found, and still getting a pure ROI of nearly $9. We go to 3 p.m., and I want to give you an example of a modern twist or a new twist on really traditional affiliate activity. This is TalkTalk. Another award-winning campaign. TalkTalk and many other broadband providers will typically work with price comparison websites. They work with Uswitch and their competitors. There's a huge amount of switching within the industry. Often, therefore, as much as you can win new customers, you lose customers. What did TalkTalk decide to do? They decided to work with those price comparison sites and offer specific deals to existing customers to try and reduce churn. So try and stop them leaving TalkTalk for a competitor, use traditional affiliate marketing, retain the customer. They had a 322% increase in retention through affiliates. I think a 7.5% decrease in churn is absolutely extraordinary. Any business that can reduce churn through this kind of activity by 7.5% is making a massive impact in terms of retention, therefore a massive impact in terms of bottom line. So it's traditional affiliate activity, but with a twist on it. And then finally, in the pre-purchase phase, I wanted to talk about this partnership between Fidel and Top Cashback, one of these fantastic value-driving partners, incredible for consumers, great for retailers too. And they partnered together with a leading supermarket to try and drive customers in-store. Right? So not just driving online sales, but to drive customers in-store. How did they do it? And why did they do it? Well, why they did it was because they know that an in-store customer tends to be more valuable. If they've started online and end up in-store, that customer tends to be more valuable. So they want to drive more in-store purchase from their customers. How do they do it? They could link up Fidel with anyone who had their credit or debit card details in Top Cashback, give them offers, drive them to store where they could collect the offers. And what you saw is 10% of customers spending over £50, 34% opt-in rate for Top Cashback, and 12% becoming repeat customers. So pre-purchase, and what I would think of Affiliate Plus, is an area we're incredibly strong. Right, an area we're incredibly strong. But I feel like we always knew that. Where I got more excited when I met more of our partners was what we could do in the purchase phase from 4 to 8 p.m. And now I want to talk a bit about that. And before I go into the examples, I want to give you this one quote from Samsung, which you can probably read faster than I can say. But basically, what Samsung are telling us here, the UK marketing manager, is that working with Awin, working with our master tag, and working with tech partners via Awin is actually faster in terms of bringing innovative technology onto their site than trying to do it themselves. Right? Because if you're trying to do things yourself, if you're trying to have the most innovative solutions on your site, developing it yourself is expensive and it takes time. But we have scores of fantastic tech partners working with Awin. If you use the plugin, you can get them onto your site, and you can have world-leading, highly innovative, highly advanced technology on your site driving sales within minutes. Right? So Samsung does this, small businesses do this. So at 5 p.m., the first example I give you is Samsung working with Upsell It. What did they do? They used the plugin, got Upsell It onto their site within weeks. Something that probably would have taken a year in terms of internal development. They had it live within weeks. The technology shows you that when you have a product in your basket, what are the ancillary products that people tend to buy? If you're looking for a product that they don't have in stock, what are the other products that are similar they can sell to you? And they gained an incremental 1 million plus revenue in just a few weeks. In just a few weeks. So from that initial concept to going live to 1 million plus incremental revenue in just a few weeks with Upsell It. So that's 5 p.m. 6. Crag hoppers. Crag hoppers. So I don't know how many of you are in the market for a tasteful purple anorak. But if you were, and you were shopping for that tasteful purple anorak on Crag hoppers, working with increasingly, they could say, well, actually, you know what? People who like that kind of anorak also tend to buy waterproof trousers, Natalie-backed shirts, whatever else. Applying that technology to their site enabled Crag hoppers, again, within a matter of months, to get a 15% increase in AOV when the technology was shown. We skip over these kinds of statistics. Again, working with affiliates, working with Awin, working with the master tag, getting increasingly onto your site incredibly quickly, and every single person who visits your site and converts with you is suddenly 15% more valuable than they were before. So the purchase part of the funnel, or part of the clock at 6 p.m. is valuable. Rev Lifter, Simon, take a picture. RevLifters, Simon's in the front row here. RevLifter worked closely with Boohoo, another incredible technology which you can apply to your site in a matter of weeks. Boohoo worked with them. I think we were talking about it earlier today. What are they able to do? They're able to personalize micro moments. So basically, you're, as a customer on the Boohoo site or in the app, shopping, when you reach certain triggers, when you've shown certain interest in certain products, they're able to personalize more offers for you, upsell you, bring you to a different kind of threshold. And this quote from Eve, who was here earlier, is pretty incredible, right? The innovative ideas allow them to improve the bread and butter goals, like AOV and conversion. That's quite good bread and butter, by the way, right? 27% higher AOV is really good bread, I would say. But it also enabled them to get a 500% increase in Premier delivery subscribers. And we know, right, if you can get somebody to take your Premier service, you get somebody to subscribe, not just to buy once, but to actually subscribe to your service, then they're a way more valuable customers. So again, something I would never have associated with affiliates, but RevLifter and Boohoo at 7. And finally, something I'm really passionate about, not just intently, but the ability to innovate at scale with SMEs. So we have a product called Awin Access, and Awin Access is the way in which SMEs and micro SMEs can access affiliate marketing more easily. Right? It is a version of Awin which allows businesses of any size to work with us and get the benefits that large companies have always had. And that's the power of the web, right? The power of the web is to allow businesses of any size to get the benefits of larger businesses. What we did was to partner with Intently and say, well, actually, can you offer your services, your smart site overlays, your ability to speak to customers and offer them quick offers, to draw them back in when they're about to bounce off your site? And can you offer that at scale to all of the SMEs working with Access? And that's what we did. So over 250,000 consumers have interacted with this. There's over 1.5 million sales attributed already to Intently. And so we're doing it with Samsung, we're doing it with Crowdclockers, we're doing it with Boohoo, but we're also doing it with thousands and thousands of SMEs. Bringing innovation that they couldn't do themselves, right? They couldn't build it themselves with this kind of speed and at this kind of cost, bringing it to businesses of any size. Right, so the purchase area we have, and I'm on track for 12 minutes for 12 hours. So if you're flagging, stay with me. We've got 4 more, right? 4 more of these examples so I can really prove my point. So post-purchase, right? Somebody's bought from you already. Well, what does affiliate have to do with post-purchase? Right, well, what we can do is we can create brand partnerships. We can connect the brands who work with us together and create partnerships even after a consumer's bought, create more loyalty, get them coming back more and more. So we work with MyProtein and the Heart Group, right? An incredible success story generally in terms of e-commerce and certainly in terms of how they use affiliates. We're back, you can't tell, but I used to shop with MyProtein. It doesn't happen so often anymore. But back when I used to shop with MyProtein, one of the things they used to do really well was to say, just when you've bought, have a free gift. Right, here's a free gift. It might introduce you to a new brand. It might introduce you to another part of the Heart Group. Here they partnered with Simply Cook. Right, so for that free gift, we got MyProtein to partner with Simply Cook, and the free gift they were able to offer was a small box, 4 recipes that you can cook at home. So experience Simply Cook for the first time, just a £1 packaging and postage fee. And what happens? 56,000 customer referrals for Simply Cook, 26% conversion rate, 32% redemption, and for MyProtein and the Heart Group, £150,000 of commission. So at this point, they become an affiliate. Having already sold to a customer, having got somebody to purchase from them, they now become effectively an affiliate themselves, right? So post-purchase, we're creating value in the affiliate market. Wolves, I genuinely am stunned that I'm talking about Wolverhampton Wanderers and affiliate marketing. It's a surprise to me. But Wolves, right, they have a loyal fan base who love everything to do with the club, are engaged with Wolves, engaged with their fan program. What were we able to do with Wolves? We were able to say, well, why don't you use that loyalty scheme, bring affiliates into it, create brand partnerships within your loyalty scheme, and then You'll create more reasons for people to join the Wolves fan club. You'll create more value for the people who are in the Wolves fan club. So people who are going to come on, they're going to come and watch your matches anyway, right? If you're a football fan, you're going to watch your team. You're not going to move away from your team. But how do you create more value for that fan and from that fan? Through affiliates. 35 new partnerships, a totally new revenue stream, and an increase of 500% in revenue from the Wolves fan club, right? Really meaningful numbers. And then 11 o'clock, and this is a really quite new partnership we're delivering. I've talked about loyalty, and I've talked about customer loyalty programs. We've partnered with Propello and Tiviso. So that, again, businesses of any size can set up their own loyalty program. Again, a hard thing to do, particularly for a small company, to create your own loyalty program. Via Awin, via the master tag, with Propello and Tiviso, you can create your own loyalty program for your brand post-purchase in minutes. Right? So all of these technologies, all of these innovations that have always been available to the largest businesses, we're making available to the smallest businesses as well, and we're making them available fast. And then my final example, which is a bit of a cheat because it's not a pure affiliate example, but you've got these 11 examples, right? You've started on TikTok, you've come all the way around to your loyalty program. 11 different examples of how affiliates can work all the way around the clock for your brand and for partners, but you still need to measure it. You still need to see how these different things work together. And to that end, we acquired SingleView, incredible business, now part of the Awin family, doing multi-touch attribution, showing how all of those different affiliates can work together, showing how affiliate can work as part of the wider industry. And they did a great piece of work with Pretty Little Thing and Honey last year. Pretty Little Thing were not entirely convinced. They were convinced of the value from Honey, but they were not entirely convinced that Honey was initiating sales. Thought you're probably assisting, you're probably near the end, but are you initiating? Did some analysis, worked with SingleView, decided to invest more into Honey on the back of that analysis, and what did they see? Once they increased spend, yes, in the gray here, the assisted sales grew. But what you can see in the orange here, at the bottom of the chart, is that the initiated sales grew as well. So SingleView was able to prove to Pretty Little Thing that Honey had greater value than they realized. They're then able to make smarter decisions about where they put their spend in affiliates. They're able to grow their business faster. So there's 12 examples in 14 minutes, more or less. But what it showed to me when I went through this, and what it showed to me compared to where I was thinking about this a year ago, when I was still working at Alibaba and thinking about joining Awin, is that my conceptions and my perceptions about the affiliate industry were limited. Right? They were limited to that 4 p.m. period. They were limited to what I thought I knew. And what I understand today, and what I think we all understand, and we need to help people in our customers and amongst our partner bases to understand, is that the value of affiliates is much broader and much deeper than many people have understood. And I want to give you, I don't think this clock ever stops turning, by the way, so I'm going to skip on from it. I'm going to give you one final reason why I want you to think about this way, about the affiliates channel. I want you to help your colleagues in the businesses you return to think about affiliates this way. And it's this, right? We did a piece of work last year. Our UK team did some analysis, and what they compared was what we call armchair advertisers to adventure advertisers. An armchair advertiser would basically be me in 2019, right? Sitting there thinking, this is the affiliate channel, it's pretty good, great ROAS, I won't touch it. I'm going to see it as a relatively limited channel. Not investing in new partnerships, not really thinking, how can I build my business through affiliates? An adventure advertiser is somebody who thinks, actually, I really want to see what new partnerships are available to me. I really want to investigate all of the different partners I could work with. I really want to think all the different ways in which I could work with affiliates. And what we see, as we start from the left, is that the armchair advertiser is fine. Right? The armchair advertiser has a 6.5% conversion rate. Right? They actually have a better conversion rate than the adventure advertiser. So they're perfectly happy doing what they're doing. And if you're sitting there thinking, I'm an armchair advertiser, we're still super happy to work with you. Right? So we don't want to say goodbye to the armchair advertisers. But the adventure advertisers win in every other metric. Every other metric. Year over year, they got 29% increase in traffic versus a 6% decline. year over year, they had a 9% increase in AOV versus 2%. And year over year, they had 33% more sales versus 16%, comparing similar advertisers who just took a different approach to affiliates. You grow your sales at twice the pace if you're an adventure advertiser. And so that's how we think about the channel. We think about infinite partnerships, one solution. I want that solution, of course, to be Awin, but I know other solutions exist. But the idea of infinite partnerships, understanding that the affiliate industry gives you infinite opportunity, infinite ability, right from 1 o'clock when you first meet a consumer, right through to 12, when you make them your loyal customer for life. The affiliates industry has that potential, right? And we have to tell that story. And at Awin, we're really passionate about it. We really believe in it. It's how we think about our business. It's definitely how I think about the affiliate industry. And I think I'm more or less on time. So I hope I've convinced you, having convinced myself. Thanks very much for joining the session today. I hope to meet many of you later. Thank you.
That was really impressive on the timing. I think we don't have time for questions. I have seen the Awin report.
Okay.
Seeing the level of diversity across this space is utterly phenomenal. Then seeing it there in numbers and ideas, it's absolutely brilliant. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Another round of applause, please, for David. We're going to take another break.